Here we go. So I have received your three pictures of our group class group activity number 1. Okay, well done guys. So it will be, so did you notice something that it is upward sloping, right? So you connect those lines like this, right? And I have seen that everybody, make this curve like that. Good work. And now shift and movement in the supply curve. So the same concept apply here. If there is a change in quantity supplied and the reason is price, we say it is movement. And there is a change in quantity supplied and reason is not price, then we say it is shift. So let's talk about this. Here we go. So change in quantity supplied caused by a change in price of the quantity supplied, which means if the reason is just price, if price changes and it causes change in quantity supplied, we call this is a movement, right? So the easy way to remember this, what I told you, that if a change in quantity supplied is because of price, the reason is price, then we see a movement. Movement means we don't have to make a new curve. It means only position is changed. So look at our example here. So we are here on point A, which is at this level. When the price of the ice cream is 1, quantity supplied is 1. The producers or sellers, they are selling just 1 cone of ice cream. What happens if the price changes to 3? Now suppliers are supplying 5. So you see, there is a change in quantity supplied from 1 to 5. Reason is because price has increased from 1 to 3. So that's why we don't have to make a new curve. We are on the same supply curve. So this transition from A to S, we call that this is movement along the curve, right? A to C point, sorry. S means supply curve. Okay, now shift in supply curve. Same logic that we talked about in our demand. What we talk about over there? If there is a change in quantity demanded and the reason is not price, then we call that shift in demand curve. The same logic applies here. If there is a change in quantity supplied and the reason is not price, right? A shift in the supply curve, either left or right, caused by a change in a variable other than price. So basically they are saying reason of this change in supply curve or quantity supplied because of other factor, not price. And what are those factors? Okay, let's talk about this. Increase in supply curve means shift to the right, same logic. Decrease in supply curve means shift to the left. So in some other books, so they say that increase in supply curve shift to downward. So you see here, if this is the original supply curve, so the new supply curve is, down to the original supply curve S2, right? And decrease in supply curve mean shift to upward. So don't confuse with these words. Just the simplest way to remember this, increase or decrease, that's it. Shift to the right, shift to the left. If you see, decrease mean upward, yes, because decrease shows you are taking from upside, from original to upward. So don't confuse with this word downward or upward, right? Just make a universal rule, that is increase mean shift to the right, decrease mean shift to the left. Understand? Okay, now when there is a shift in quantity supplied or shift in supply and the reason is not price, then what are those other possible reasons? The reasons are these variables, right? Input prices, technology, expectations, number of sellers. In case of demand, we had 5 variables, but here in case of supply curve, we have 4 variables that causes shift in supply curve. So input prices, you can also call that price of raw material. So let's talk about this. So input prices. So input prices, raw material prices. So we are continuing the example of ice cream. So right now, what we talked about at the start of this lecture, think of yourself as supplier or producer. So producing ice cream requires sugar, machine building, labor. So when price of one of more of these input rises, supply curve shift as producing ice cream is less profitable, right? So what we are trying to say here, if price of raw material rises, quantity supplied decreases. If sugar prices rises, it is less profitable for us to produce ice cream at the same rate of ice cream. This is not, so some students, they confuse this input price with the price of ice cream. Price of ice cream is something else. And this is, we talking about price of, input, the raw material prices, right? So they confuse price of ice cream with the quantity supplied, and they say, no, this looks like a law of demand. Price increases and quantity supply decreases. No, this is because of input prices. If price of input prices rises, what happen? Producers start producing less of that quantity. Why? Because the economic objective of every producer or a firm or supplier or merchandiser whatsoever, retailer, shopkeeper, is profit. If your profit is decreased, you start having, or you start making less, or keeping less of that product. So same rule apply here. Ice creams making more costly for you and your profits start decreasing. So what happened? You producing less, or you keep less of that product to your shop. Any question?
Okay.
So what we can say now, the supply of good is negatively related to input prices to make that good. So we can say that quantity supply of ice cream is negatively related to price of sugar, right? The second one is technology. So what will happen here? Can you install a technology which reduces the supply? You would be called the stupid, businessman of this world, or of your area or of your country. Why? Because technology, you will always opt technology that always increase the production or supply. So I have not seen any case that a business undergo, shift in technology and that technology reducing the supply rather, reducing the production rather increasing the production, right? So innovation requires less workers, which is change in the input prices and causes supply curve shift to the right. So the analysis or crux is that technology always increases the supply curve. Why? Because you will invest in that technology that will increase your production. And what happened when production rises? What happened? For example, price is the same. Price of ice cream, for example, 1 yuan. But what happened? You shift that technology, you buy a machine that make automatic, filling and wrapping and all those stuff. So previously you were supplying to the market 1,000 cones of ice cream, and now due to that technology you are supplying 10,000. Right? Price is the same 1 yuan, but supply has increased. Why? Because of technology. So you will experience a shift in supply curve, and this is the case of always, because technology always increases supply. Increase in supply means shift to the right. Understand? Theoretical, we can say that decrease in supply means shift to the left. But I didn't know any technology that reduces the production, because the motive behind innovation is always to improve productivity, improve production. The third one is expectations. The same rule apply, that you expect the future and you take decision now. So if the firm expect the price of ice cream to rise, expect in future you expect that the price of ice cream will rise, and you are supplier, right? You're not consumer right now. So what will happen? You will not supply in the market right now. You will wait until the price going to rise so that you can have a maximum profit, right? So if the firm expect the price of ice cream rise, it will either produce more ice cream, right? Store it, or if you have already have it, you just wait it. You put it some of its current production